Speaker, we already have a regulatory framework aimed at reducing the harmful environmental and economic impacts of illegal logging in this country. Multiple statutory reviews of the previous version of this Act have found that the Department's compliance activities have been inefficient and ineffective. In fact, logging of native forests in this country is not adequately supervised or monitored. Our state governments allow ongoing logging of the forests, and the federal government has not intervened to stop them. In my home state of Victoria, logging is regulated by the Code of Practice for Timber Production. Between 2009 and 2017, more than 300 breaches of that code were submitted to the Victorian government. None were prosecuted. In 2019, an independent report into the responsible department found that it had neither the capacity nor the capability to monitor or to regulate logging in Victoria. The Victorian state government officially ended harvesting of our state forests on the 1st of January 2024, but it has continued under its timber utilisation plan in some areas. Vic Forests continues to remove large logs from the Wombat State Forest under the guise of debris clean-up or salvage logging, and it continues to sell that timber via its vehicle Forest Fire Management Victoria. Just 2 weeks ago, an endangered greater glider was killed by the Victorian Department of Environment in its tree felling in the Yarra Ranges National Park, despite multiple warnings from the Victorian National Parks Association to multiple agencies and to the state and to the federal minister's offices about sightings of greater gliders and leadbeater's possums in trees identified for removal. Through its agent Vic Forest, the Victorian State Government continues to act in active contravention of the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. The Federal Environment Minister has not intervened to halt the illegal actions of Vic Forests or to hold the Victorian Environment Minister to account for these activities. What we could do is clear. We should ban all native forest logging nationally. But in the meantime, we can halt the sale of all timber cut as part of salvage logging of native forests. There should be no market for wood obtained in the process of logging for fire breaks and other so-called fire protection measures. We simply can't trust state or federal governments to oversee responsible use of timber from native forests. Only by abolishing those markets altogether can we stop their exploitation and their abuse. Speaker, the previous iteration of this Act required a statutory review after 5 years, but this version of the bill has no requirements for regular review of the Act's operation or its effectiveness. Rather, the bill suggests that the Secretary could choose to publish reports about the operation of this Act, or not, as the case may be. This contrasts with the frameworks for control of illegal logging in similar jurisdictions internationally, where timber regulation is subject to regular reviews with reports tabled in Parliament. Given particularly that the statutory report identified high levels of non-compliance with the previous iteration of this legislation, and given the frequent, egregious violations of this law domestically, this legislation has to be accompanied by regular monitoring and transparent reporting of its effectiveness. Australians deserve clarity about the state and federal government's plans for management of our native forests. We need to know that illegal logging of timber will be identified and will be prosecuted. We need to know that this legislation will be subject to appropriate statutory review, sufficient to provide reassurance regarding compliance, due diligence and the response to concerns of third parties. The sad fact is that at this point we cannot trust either the state or the federal governments to look after our native forests. We need to be able to do that in future. I therefore move the amendment in my name with an aim to appropriate review of this bill in 5 years, and I signal to this government my commitment to further action in this area.
I thank the member for Kooyong. The question is the amendment